friends, let's do this. We're going to do the top used decks of 2024. We're going to start with tarot, and we've got top 10, I believe, of tarot, and then we have top 4/5 of Oracle. How do I have these stats? I write them down every single time I do a poll. And to piggyback off that comment, I'm still going to be doing my tarot wrapped video. If you're not familiar with what that is, I basically take stats on every single card I pulled and then I talk about them. So the decks are still going to be in that video, but this video is so fun and I'm seeing everyone else posting it and I am feeling a little FOMO. So I'm going to do a video specifically talking about my top used decks for 2024. And I have a remnants of a Caesar if you're Canadian. Cheers. There's not much left, so we're good to go. Oh my god, so good. Let's just get started. We're going to start with tarot. We have the Wild Unknown Tarot. This one kind of surprised me. Although it has, I mean, we don't need to go crazy talking about it, but it has been used quite a bit lately in the last couple of months. I find I feel called to use this deck around the colder months. The white, the black with the splash of color makes sense to me. I think I talked about this in my November video. So this one has been used quite a bit lately, and I'm currently doing the Seeds of 2024. I think that's what it's called. Tarot Challenge by Lionhearts on Instagram. And this one has been used for quite a few of those. So that one has made the top 10 list for 2024. Probably just, well, it's probably January of 2024, maybe a little bit of February 2024, and now into November, December. Next on the list, we have the Lord of the Rings Tarot. This is a independently published. You can get it on Etsy. That is the information there. This one also surprised me because I didn't think I used it as much as I apparently did. One of the greatest Lord of the Ring decks ever made. It is so good. It's got a lovely linen cardstock. Oh, I have a one of those prism thingies in my window, so I think that's probably showing up a little. But it's a lovely linen cardstock. There are other Lord of the Ring decks out there. This one blows them out of the water. And I wanted it for a very, very, very long time. And sadly, the shipping was astronomical, like over 50 Canadian dollars. So I longed for this deck for quite some time. I admired it from afar. And then I finally went to the States and was able to ship it to the States for a fraction of the shipping cost and pick it up there and bring it home. And it's one of my favorites. Great pop culture deck. Very, very, very well done. The little guidebook that comes with it doesn't give meanings, but it does say what's happening on the card, which I do rather appreciate. Especially in this case, because some of the cards are the book, not the movie. So if you have not read the books, you might not understand what's happening in that card. Next, oh, we had a love affair this year, the Tarot del Fuego. We absolutely had a love affair, especially in the summer. I mean, makes sense. This deck, aesthetically, no, I always want to say aesthetically, and I don't mean that. I mean like in a tactile sense. I love this deck. I love the size. I love the cardstock. I love how it feels. The colors are not in my usual wheelhouse when it comes to tarot decks. But in this particular case, I find them very fun. I actually don't like the OG Rider-Waite-Smith deck because of those blues and yellows, and oddly enough, this deck has a lot of those blues and yellows, and it doesn't bother me. But can't tell you why that is. I absolutely cannot. But this is just a spunky, fun deck. And I had so much fun working with it. And it was one of those ones where it was time to move on to a different deck. For whatever reason, I was feeling the pull to use a different deck. The seasons had changed, started to become maybe a little bit more fall, and this was not the vibe for a fall deck, whatever the case may be, and I was sad. I was sad to not use it. However, in the Seeds of 2024 Tarot Challenge, I'm kind of going through and I'm using a bunch of different decks. I'm using decks that A, got a lot of love from me this year, and decks that B, did not get a lot of love. So I'm kind of cycling through a bunch of my decks, and this deck has yet to make its rounds. It's coming the last few days of the month. It will get used. So that's the Tarot del Fuego, a favorite of mine this year. I think. So this was a new purchase this year. The Lord of the Rings Tarot was a new purchase this year. And the next one is not. Oh, sorry. Wild Unknown was not a new purchase. The next one is not a new purchase this year. If you know, you know. The Ritual Tarot. It took its place on the list this year. I mean, we also don't need to go crazy with this deck, but this is the version I have with the just plain black backs. We have our title card. Yeah, this is... What are we doing here? Let's leave our title card out. I mean... Everybody knows it. I think it's on everyone's favorites list at some point. This deck gets used typically in the one-off where you just kind of pull one card. A bigger spread, you know, max 3 cards, but a bigger spread is just not, it doesn't work with this deck for me. So if I just had a simple question where this deck felt like it would answer me, then that's what I would do. And a lot of times I do like to pull an oracle card with this deck. So it'll be 1 to 3 cards with 1 oracle. Or 1 card with 1 oracle. Works well. Ritual Tarot, I love you. Next up. Okay, this one's not new to me this year. I didn't get it till the end of last year, but I did not use it last year. So technically, I guess, it's new this year. It's out of the box because it's on my nightstand. The Bohemian Gothic. I have this version that can actually sort of fit in your hands. Yeah, this one rose to fame at the end of this year in the spookier months of 2024, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was blown away by this deck. The readings were on point. The messages were on point. Oof, it was good. So good that it's not going to be just used in the spookier months. It's going to be used all year round. I think I still have to find an oracle that I'm cool to pair it with, that I find gels really well. I mean, I definitely use oracles with it. I did use oracles with it a couple times, but I don't know if I was in love. So, Bohemian Gothic made the list. How many have we done? 3, 4. That was number 5. We're halfway through. Intuitive Night Goddess. This one gets used a lot by me with new moon work. I think pretty self-explanatory. New moon work, pretty dark backs and backgrounds. Goddess work, again, moon, goddess. It makes sense to use this deck for new moon work. So every new moon, this deck got used on top of being used anytime I felt like using it. This is another one of those decks where I find I typically feel called to use it in the darker winter months where we are lacking sunshine a little bit. So lately this one has just been moon stuff, but probably in January, February, maybe even a little bit of March in 2024, this one got a lot of use from me. And of course with the moon work, that's what put it on this list. This is a favorite. I have the mass market version, And this is probably definitely a deck I'd be sad if I didn't have it. If the house burned down and I didn't grab it, I'd be sad. But I mean, I'd be sad for all of them. So it's kind of hard to say that when you love them all. Next. So that deck was not new to me in 2024. This one is new to me in 2024. Tarot of Persephone's Garden. This was another one where I basically only ordered it because I was going to the States. And I knew that shipping wasn't going to be a problem because I was going to the States. Love these backs. I worked with this deck so much in the spring. It was a very spring deck for me. I think it was the month of May and maybe early June. I could not get enough of this deck. Could not. I don't have the next version of it. I thought about it, but again, I'd have to ship it to somewhere in the States and pick it up whenever I got there, and I don't know when I'm getting there. I also don't feel like I really need to. Like this one's fine. I don't need to have... Oh, it's the Huntress one that I'm thinking of, which is an Artemis deck. This one's fine. I don't need to have a whole collection of them. If someone, like if it were to fall off the back of a truck, for example, sure. But I'm not going to go out of my way to purchase it and wait to get it or pay shipping in Canada. But this one did see a lot of love in the spring, which I think is self-explanatory. Persephone. I think a lot of people were also using this deck in the fall as well, because that's also Persephone goes to the underworld. So her myth kind of has a lot of spring and fall feel to it. For me, this deck feels more spring than fall. So I'll probably only use it springtime, maybe summertime. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yes, this one got a lot of love in 2024. Picked it up in the States in May, I think. The next one is not new for 2024. Last year, I did not use this deck at all for readings. I used it for reference. This year, I knew I would be using it for readings, and I knew it would make its way to this list for that reason. And that is the Saint Soleil Beginner's Tarot. I purchased the journal, I guess, the Celestial Journal that Saint Soleil created for 2024. Sadly, they did not create it for 2025, but they apparently will be bringing it back for 2026. But because I purchased the journal, I knew I would want to use the deck made by the same company. It makes sense. Aesthetically, they work together. So I knew this deck was going to be on this list. I thought it would have the #1 spot. It doesn't. There's actually 2 more in front of it. But yeah, I knew this deck would be on this list. And it's a favorite. And as you can see, the reason why it was just a reference deck last year, I didn't actually pull with it, was because it has the reversed and upright meanings. So it kind of stayed in order last year, and anytime I got stuck, I just referenced it. And then this year I was like, I'm using it. I am not using it as a learning tool or a reference tool. This deck is going to get some use out of me in 2024, especially with the Celestial Journal by the same company. So indie, not new to me in 2024 or 2023. I think I got it in 2022. Second on the list. This is, I think this came in this year. Oh no, I don't even remember. The Lilith Tarot, the gold Kickstarter edition. I think there are, yes, we'll just make sure that those babies don't get caught. So yeah, beautiful gold. It always, the camera never picks it up as good. This deck blew me away. Another one that just crushed it in 2024 for me. I did Lionheart's June Tarot Challenge using this deck. I think that's probably what propelled it to the 2nd place position, is that Tarot Challenge, because from what I recall, I can't remember the name of the Tarot Challenge, but from what I recall, it was a lot of cards. I think June was a very busy tarot month for me, probably more so because of the Lionhearts Challenge. And that's probably, I mean, this still would have been in the top 10 list, but I don't think it would have taken the 2nd place spot if it weren't for that Tarot Challenge, which Oh, I think it was like something about learn about me, learn about your astrology sign or something like that. It was one of those. But I loved it. And this has a lot of astrology, like it's got all the astrology symbols on it, which is why I chose it for that challenge. So it worked out perfectly and I loved it. It hit the nail on the head every time. So this is a well-deserved second place. Oh, I believe. So one of my favorite cards in the entire deck. Well-deserved second place. Most used tarot deck of 2024. First place. I'd love to know if anyone can guess it. The silence. I want you to all feel the anticipation. This is another one that blew me away in 2024. Oh, these, I'm in the middle of a tarot challenge with those. It's like, why are they like that? The Sistine Tarot. Oh my gosh. I am so happy to have found this deck in 2024. Obviously, it was new to me in 2024. It came out this year, very limited print run. This will forever be one of my, I'd say, top 3 decks. Forever. I was really, really sad. This was another one. I was really sad when I had to put it away for the year. That's a Hog Island boa. Great snake if you want one as a pet. I was very sad when I used this in late summer, and then it came time for fall, and I have so many decks that have a great fall aesthetic that I like to use at the fall. This is not one of them. So it went away for fall, and for a long time I was wanting to use it every day. I was like, oh my gosh, I miss it. I miss my friend. And I kind of got over that hump. I started enjoying my fall decks because I do love my fall decks as well. I have a ton of great fall decks. But with the December Seeds of 2024 Tarot Challenge, like I said, I'm using a bunch of decks that either got so much love from me this year or didn't receive enough love. I'm kind of cycling through them, and I'm on this one right now, as you can see from. I'm in the section where you have to do a card for every month, and I ran out of time the other night, so I've only pulled for 3 months. So yes, it's in the midst of being used for the Seeds of 2024 Tarot Challenge. And oh, it's so good to have you back, friend. Good to see ya. Missed your face. An absolute favorite of 2024. Blew me out of the water. It came out of here and shocked me. Oh look, Edward Cullen. That's totally Edward Cullen. I know it's Lucifer, but that's fine. Yeah. Not much else to say. I mean, it speaks for itself. Obsessed. Absolutely freaking obsessed. Bury me with this deck. Actually, no. I would love to be buried with it, but give it to someone who needs it. Because there's not enough of these in the world, as we all learned. So, that's the top 10 tarot decks. Let's make sure we put this all back properly so I don't lose my place in the tarot challenge. Now we'll do Oracle decks. Let me have some of my Caesar. Oracle decks. So we're only doing the top 5. Why am I only doing 5 Oracle decks when I did 10 tarot decks? Full disclosure, I don't feel like I used a lot of Oracle decks in 2024. I do feel like 2024 was very tarot heavy for me, and that's cool. That's fine with me. Don't care. I also feel like when I was using tarot decks, I was using them on their own. I wasn't combining them with Oracle as much as I have in the past. So I just used less. And because I used less, there is like a whole whack of Oracle decks that have the same number of usage, which we're going to dive right into. So the Seasons of the Witch oracles, all of them are basically tied for 5th place. I use them all equally, which is kind of funny. I'm still using the Yule one, so it will probably come out on top because I basically just dipped into that one a few days ago. So it'll probably come out on top because I've been using it pretty much every day. So, and if that stays that way, then it'll come out on top. However, there was another deck that was basically tied with the same amount of usage as the Seasons of the Witch oracles, and that is the Craft Decadence Oracle. This was a new one this year. I edged mine in what I tried to be a purple, and it ended up looking very wine colored. I wanted it to pull in from here or here. I mean, I guess it kind of does. It was not my favorite. Not my favorite. Obsessed. This is a fantastic little oracle. It works really well with the Ritual Tarot. I think I tried it with the Bohemian Gothic. Not so much. Didn't love it. This is a great single card pull oracle as well without, like, this is a good one to pull the oracle first and then ask the tarot to expand on it. I like doing that, like kind of a role reversal, because typically I pull my tarot cards first and then pull the oracle. But this is a good one. Like, what do I need to know about Silent Treasure, Untold Epiphany, and Secret Inspiration? And then you pull your tarot cards to expand on that. So good. So good. I'm obsessed. The aesthetic of this deck, it goes fantastic with the Sistine Tarot. Pretty much bought it specifically for use with the Sistine Tarot. It works really well with the Sistine Tarot. It's a little darker than the Sistine Tarot. Like, every card has a dark background. So there is a little bit of light and dark happening there. Sometimes it works, sometimes not so much. Great, great deck. So happy about it. Kind of thought it would be higher on the list, especially considering what the next one is. Although I got it in 2024, so it didn't have a full 12 months use out of me. So that could be why, maybe, perhaps. Okay, so it's tied with all of the Seasons of the Witch oracles. Next one, kind of a shocker. The Pocket Archetypes. Well, the archetypes, but I got this one this year and I used it more than the other one. You used it more than the big boy. I still keep this paper in here. Don't know why. Cute. 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 Very cute. I honestly, I'm shocked that this deck is on here. I really am. I'm trying to recall times when I would have used it. I think it was more so the beginning of the year. I think I used this deck a lot more in the beginning of the year, which is why I'm having a hard time remembering using it. I keep very meticulous stats in my Excel spreadsheet, so it's not a lie. But yeah, I think it was more so the beginning of the year when I used this. It is one of those decks where, same with the Wild Unknown Tarot deck, this one has a lot more color in it, a lot more watercolor. It's not as black and white with the splash of color. It's more color with a splash of black and white. But it does, well, no, I was going to say it does feel good to use this deck in the darker months, but with all this color, it makes sense to use it in the summer as well. Perfect example. So it's an all year deck. Forget what I'm saying. I don't know. I have no memory of using this deck as many times as I did, is what I'm trying to say. It must have happened a while ago because I definitely haven't busted it out recently. I think this goes really well with the Sistine Tarot. I know I tried it once or twice with the Sistine Tarot. I think I like using it with the Ritual Tarot as well. That's another good one to use it with. I want to dive more into this. I want to try using it more on its own. So, but that was one of my shockers, one of my surprises. So the little guy is new to me for 2024, but not the big one, which I still have. I'm going to sell it because I have this instead. Next one, not a surprise. I actually thought it would be higher on the list. Crystal Sound Healing Oracle. This is new for 2024. I went through a little period of time where every night before bed I would pull one of these cards, scan the QR code, and listen to the SoundCloud link for the singing bowl, the associated singing bowl with that one. I loved doing that. I miss doing that. I think I'm going to get back into it for the last little bit and first bit of the new year. Highly recommend. It was a really nice little practice to get into before bed, and listening to that little, I think they're about 40 seconds long, crystal sound healing. If you're not into the crystal sound healing, you don't have time, you're not somewhere where you can listen to something, of course you've got your keywords, and you have the regular old Oracle book to go with it, with like full-blown meanings without relying on the sound. The sound is just an extra perk, but it is why I bought this deck. And it's definitely high up on this list. It's third place, technically, because I listened so much before bed, because I did those card pulls before bed so many times. Love this one. It did go through a period of time where that did not work. I think they fixed it, though. But they sent me a link because I emailed them and complained. And they sent me a link in an email with all the sounds, so I don't have to... I can just go into that email and look up the card number and listen that way. Next on the list, this is another one that was new for 2024, second from the top. The Outgrow Yourself Tarot and Oracle. It is in the Oracle list because I used it as an Oracle the most. I found that using this deck as an Oracle worked better for me than using it as a tarot. The Oracle messages across the top hit every time. Every single time. So I used it as both a tarot and Oracle, but I used it more as an Oracle, and I did keep track of the difference. In my Excel spreadsheet, I kept track of how many times I used it as a tarot and how many times I used it as an Oracle, and obviously the Oracle won because it's in the second place for top 5 Oracle decks used in 2024. You know, then I thought, I had kind of the opposite opinion. I thought I would use it more as a tarot because I thought that the Oracle messages were like a little too specific in some of them. But it was the opposite. Like, can you accept a new beginning? That might not have anything to do with what you're asking. But it's worked every time I've pulled that one. This one is such a magic 8-ball. Why do you ask what you already know? It's just worked. It's not one that I would normally go to for an Oracle as far as the sayings go. Oh, but it's so good. So that again was new for me in 2024. It arrived earlier in the year, I believe. And last one. I think I bought this one last year. But I did not connect with it at all. I bought it for the Lenormand cards that are included in it as part of it. I did use the Lenormand cards last year, but I was starting to feel like the whole deck was kind of a waste for me. So this fall, I busted it out and I was like, I'm going to use it. I'm going to work with the entire deck. I'm going to shuffle those Lenormand cards in with the whole deck, work with it, and just see how it goes. And I fell in love. That's the Memento Mori, Lenormand and Oracle deck. I used this deck so much, especially in October of this year. October, I edged it in like this tawny. Is that what that's called? It matches perfectly. I'm really proud of myself. Forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I actually really forgot what I was saying. We'll start over. So I started using it mostly in October. I was using the Lenormand cards. I had separated them from the deck, so they had got some use from me. I really enjoyed the Lenormand cards, but I wasn't really using the rest of the deck, and I wasn't really ever feeling called to use it, and I was starting to feel really guilty about owning this entire deck and I was only using 36 cards out of that whole deck. So I was like, October's the month. October is the month where I'm going to try this. I'm going to use the entire thing, and it's going to make or break my relationship with it. Oh my gosh. So for the first little bit, I was just pulling one card at a time to try and learn the meanings. That might have started in September. I might have started doing that in September. But because I was pulling one card at a time, one card a day, that really bumped up the stats of this deck. And that is definitely why it has the #1 place, because I essentially used it every single day for I don't know how many days in a row. But here we are. Stats are stats. Stats don't lie. I used it the most out of all my Oracle decks. I did rather enjoy those one card pulls from this deck. Loved it. Then I kind of started incorporating it into tarot. I loved using it with the zombie tarot deck. Love that. I think I tried it with the Sistine Tarot. Not so much. Didn't really go my way. Wasn't really feeling it, but so good. And part of me feels so sad that I didn't try this sooner. I didn't try using it sooner. I know I did try when I first got it. It just wasn't its time, I guess. I just feel like I wasted so much time. So good. An amazing deck. Absolutely amazing. So that took the #1 spot for my Oracle decks. And that's it. That's my top tarot and Oracle decks for 2024. And like I said, meticulous stat keeping. Keep an eye peeled for that tarot wrapped video. Like I said, I'm still doing it. I'm working on the PowerPoint presentation as we speak. And it will have this information in it as well, but a bunch of other information. So it's coming. It probably won't be posted till January because I like to take the stats on it until the very end of the month because there's so much tarot and Oracle happenings in the month of December for me. I do a lot of tarot spreads, a lot of going forward spreads, a lot of reflecting spreads, that kind of thing. So I'm still collecting a lot of stats. And then I'll do the spreadsheet when all the stats are done for the entire 2024 up to December 31st. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It's a very, very long way of me saying it's coming in January. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I see you.